Hi everyone. A very good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you. My name is Rasha Khan, and I'm joining all the way from Bangalore, India. And I see the number of participants are increasing as we're moving closer to the timing of the session. Let me quickly just introduce myself on the chat here. A lot of hellos there, and on the Zoom chat. And we are also streaming live on our YouTube channel as well. So a lot of folks have joined us there as well. So let me just quickly put down my message on the chat, introduce myself, and you folks can also introduce yourself. Let's utilize this time before we start the session. We have few minutes left. So once again, I'm just dropping my introduction on the chat. I'm Risha Khan and I'm joining all the way from Bangalore, India. And this is a global webinar, so you're seeing a lot of folks joining from different countries. And it's always good to network, right? Let's get to know our peers and let's introduce ourselves on the chat here. You can let us know your name and drop us where are you joining us from to start with. Yeah. So put that on the chat as well. And folks on who have joined us on our YouTube lives, a lot of folks there can also introduce themselves on the YouTube live chat box. I'll be having a quick look there as well, during the session. Quickly telling you about the session as well, as we are moving closer to the starting of the session. So we'll be covering the free industry trends topic on ethics in generative AI, why it matters, and what benefits it brings. And followed by that, we have a very interesting program for you by Purdue University, generative AI for business transformation. We'll be covering that as well. And yeah, we have a very interesting session lined up for you. And we have our expert Armando Galeana here with us. I'll be introducing you to him pretty soon. And yeah, let's move forward. I see introductions have already started coming in. Please keep sharing. Folks who are just joining right now, please drop us a hello on the chat. Please let us know your name and where are you joining us from. You're seeing a lot of folks joining from different countries here. Now, also, let me quickly introduce you to Simplilearn. So this webinar and the program is powered by Simplilearn, world's #1 online bootcamp. We have been in the digital skills space for more than a decade now, and we are very proud that we have transformed lives by empowering people via these skills. And the skill we're talking about today is the generative AI skill for business transformation. And moving on towards the ground rules here. And oh, amazing. I see a lot of folks have joined us. We have very high attendance already as we are starting the session. And a lot more introductions. I'll quickly check your introductions on the chat here. But before that, let me quickly take you through the ground rules of the session. So these ground rules are made, just to make sure that you have an amazing experience during the webinar and even after the webinar as well. So just starting with the Q&A box. So in case you have any questions for our expert Armando, you can put down your questions in the Q&A box. This is for folks who have joined us on Zoom. And folks on YouTube can put it on the YouTube live chat box. I will pass it on to Armando if any questions there. And also, the Q&A box is just beside the chat box. What happens is we actually have, hundreds of folks, joining us. As you can see on the chat as well, there are hundreds of messages, amazing introductions from you. And if you put down a question there, we actually might miss it. And we would love to address all of your questions. So please help me with that. Also, the session is being recorded. I think a question about that already came in. So in case you missed anything, in case you want to go through the recording of the session once again, we'll be sending you a follow-up email with the recording link to view. Also, there is a webinar certificate as well for attending this webinar. For that, you have to stay till the end. This session is 60 minutes long. And in the end, before I end the session, I will be launching a webinar poll to capture your full name. Basically, you have to stay till the end in order to basically receive the certificate as well and fill this webinar poll. And yeah, these are quick and easy ground rules. I know a lot of you new folks have joined in. I'll share those ground rules in the chat as well in case you've missed it. In case you have any questions, I will help you with that as well. So, yeah. I see AI has already entered the chat as well. So great. Yeah, moving on towards the agenda of today's session. So the first and the most important agenda of today's session is about you. Getting to know a little bit about you, how we can help you out in your career better. And the second agenda is the free industry trends topic, ethics in generative AI, why it matters, what benefits it brings. It's a very interesting topic. And then followed by that, we'll be covering the Purdue University program, applied generative AI for business transformation, how exactly it prepares you, how exactly it gets you job ready. And followed by that, Based on the interest you share towards enrollment into the program, we'll be quickly sharing the enrollment steps, the program upcoming schedule, and also the program fee. I know a lot of you have joined us globally, so I'll also be sharing the scan code and details of the program as well, which you can refer later if you want to download the syllabus, if you want to see what are the financial partners available in your country, what is the fee for your country as well, for more details. So I'll share that towards the end. And yeah, last but not the least, the Q&A. So the Q&A is secured towards the end in order to make sure that we are able to address all of your queries which we get throughout the session. So once again, just move your questions towards the Q&A box if you have any question, and keep your questions related to the topic of the session. Let me just also quickly look on the comments. But before that, as I mentioned, the first and the most important agenda is about you. So along with your amazing introductions, let's also get to know how many years of experience do you currently have. So I'm launching a quick poll here, which says how many years of experience do you currently have, and you can choose the most suitable option for you. So let me just read out these options as well. The poll is launched right now on webinar, Zoom. So the first one here is currently studying, second one, 0 to 3 years, and the third one, 3 to 5 years, and the fourth one, more than 5 years. And I see a lot of you have already started responding. You folks are pretty quick here. That's great. And let me also just quickly look into the introductions of the chat. Let's see where have folks joined us from. I see Shekhar has joined us from Indonesia. I see Scotsman has joined us from Zurich. Binsi has joined us from Sweden. And Sajid has joined us from Pakistan. Diksha from Jharkhand, India. Nathaniel from Australia. Ahmed from Pakistan. Emmanuel from Tanzania. Zen from Indonesia. I see Vincent has joined us from Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India. And Siddharth from Rajasthan, India. Patrice from Austin, Texas. And there are hundreds more introductions. But welcome, everyone. Welcome once again. I see one comment on the chat here. Archie says that I'm 65. Is there an option for close to infinity? I'm so sorry, we do not have that option, but you can choose more than 5 years. I'm pretty sure it does not do justice to your experience. But thank you for letting us know. Great to have you here. So yeah. Awesome. I think a lot of you have already responded. So last 10 seconds for the poll here. So how many years of experience do you currently have? Last 5 seconds. I see most of you responded. So last 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me quickly end the poll and also share the results with you folks and our expert Armando here. Let's see. 52% of you have more than 5 years of experience. Interesting. 7% of you have 3 to 5 years of experience. 16% of you have 0 to 3 years of experience, and 24% of you are currently studying. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. That definitely gives our expert an understanding, what kind of audience with an experience has joined us. So, he can tailor his responses accordingly as well while we go through the session. So now quickly moving on to our expert introduction. Can't wait for this. Would like to quickly move on to our expert introduction. Would like to welcome Armando Galeana. Armando, it's pleasure having you. We have a very interesting topic lined up today, and we'll be talking more about that. But before that, we would love to know a little bit about you here for the crowd.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you very much, Raja. So I see that there's people from all over the world: Nigeria, Australia, Tanzania, the US, India, Greece, Switzerland. And I saw a few other countries from there, Saudi Arabia. So thank you very much for joining. And I also know that some of you may be wondering, okay, so I want to get my foot into artificial intelligence and AI, but I don't have any work experience, or my work experience is completely unrelated. So let me tell you something about my journey. I didn't start with artificial intelligence. As a matter of fact, I was more on the business side of the house. I have more than 20 plus years of experience in IT and business processes. I used to be a manager of a NOC and also manager in consumer programs and a director of data center and services. But most of my roles were data analytics related. And around 12 years ago, as a matter of fact, a friend of mine, an acquaintance, who is the founder of FinTech, he told me, "Hey, Armando, I know you're a lot into data analytics. There's this like new path." It was like almost 15 years ago. Said there's new stuff bubbling in the Bay Area. Back then, I was living in San Francisco, and it was data science. So I started with data science, and data science just caught my eye and fell in love with data science. But after I started getting more and more into data science and artificial intelligence, then I started seeing like all its potential. I even the fact that I was not officially a data scientist, that I was not officially a data scientist, I started applying data science in the things that I would do, whether if I was a product line manager or I was leading a team of consultants and serving customers, because data science was not a thing. But again, I was not born in my career path into data science. It was more the business side of the house. And it was quite a journey. Now, something that is interesting is that as this journey in data science and AI has evolved, initially all the classes were super technical, like where all you need to cover all algorithms, and algebra, and calculus and statistics. But as years has been having passing by, all these knowledge has now been moved and transitioned towards executives, business managers, individual contributors that don't necessarily have technical skill. And this is the reason, well, we have seen already how tools like ChatGPT, DALI, Gemini, Llama, Stable Diffusion, all these different algorithms and tools now are at the touch of the extent of our fingers. So now we all have access to them. But then the question now is posed, like, how do we use them in our business? Because, it's kind of fun. I mean, it's fun to chat with ChatGPT and start assessing its capabilities and how many things it can do. But then the question is, how can now tools like ChatGPT or Gemini or Bloom or Allow, Stable Diffusion, or all these gazillion tools improve how I do my work? And most important, what are some of the considerations that I must have before I start using them in my work? Because, we are well aware that initial versions of ChatGPT, they might be biased, or maybe in other versions of large language models or Gen AI may produce some not 100% trustworthy information. Of course, you don't want to go to your customers with information that is not trustworthy, right? You don't want to deploy a solution that is biased. You don't want to recommend an AI solution, an AI program, an AI system to a customer, whether internal or external, that is not aligned with the principles and values of the organization, or at least to have a way to oversee that AI is not going sideways. I'm pretty much familiar with some of the things that Stephen Hawking or Elon Musk have been saying, that AI might be the last great invention in humans, that AI will take over in a very apocalyptic scenario. Well, there is a probability, yes, but not if you take action. And when I talk about you, I'm talking about you as individuals, I'm talking about myself, I'm talking about all together. Because now artificial intelligence is a reality that we all are using. Now, the question is, how do you steer artificial intelligence to where you want it to go so that you find it useful for yourselves, you implement solutions that are useful for your customers. And again, pretty much that brings nothing but goodness for society. Okay? So again, what I'm trying to say here is that this path of discovery that you are now embarking will take you different ways. But the good thing is at least you have some interest in what is Gen AI, how it works, how it will help you, how it will help others. And now, it's up to you. Now you cannot say that after this webinar, now you cannot say that you don't know. What are the consequences, risks, and challenges, and how to do it? Okay. So thank you, Raja. Can we go to
Sure.
right.
Sure, I'll stop sharing. You can, Armando, you can share your screen as well. Yeah.
Okay, yes. Let me start sharing my screen and find this first.
Stop sharing. Please feel free to share.
Okay, yes, I will start sharing in a second. Um,
Folks who have joined us a little late, just to let you know that if you have any questions, you can direct them to the Q&A box. Whenever time allows for our speaker and Armando, he'll try to address it. If not, we have a Q&A towards the end. I'm there to help you out on the chat there, so let me know if you have any questions.
Absolutely. Now, can you confirm if you can see my screen? Can you
Yes.
see my
Also,
screen?
Armando, let's quickly do a sound check as well. So if we are
Yes.
clearly audible to you folks, please let us know by responding yes or no in the chat. And if the slide is visible to you as well.
Okay, good. Excellent. So the slideshow is like super big. So anyway, so the first thing that I wanted to mention is, okay, what about the benefits of artificial intelligence? First, I would like to step into what is Gen AI. And by the way, I think my screen share is paused. So I'm start sharing this again.
Yeah, it was working fine. Like you can share back.
Okay. Okay, good. So about that. Okay. So first, let me start with explaining what is Gen AI. And let's start with what is artificial intelligence, and then I will jump into what is Gen AI, and then why it's important. Okay. Now, artificial intelligence has tons of different definitions. But the definition we're going to be using, which is the most popular, is a way in which we can replicate human intelligence or animal intelligence through technology. Okay, that's it. Now, there are different ways to do it. One way to do it is just code something like manually, say for example in chess. If a pawn moves in this position, then the tower will go here. So you can actually manually code everything. If we want to code in a huge decision tree, or decisions would be super problematic, hard to maintain, tons of lines of code, and will not account for all the scenarios. So that's one way. Another way that is becoming very popular is through machine learning. In machine learning, we actually take a bunch of data, we feed that data into a computer, and then a computer, through a series of algorithms and mathematical expressions, will come up with a mathematical model. That mathematical model will help us to make predictions. One example, for example, with ChatGPT. How does the ChatGPT work? ChatGPT works in a very quote unquote simple way, and is that all the words that you feed to ChatGPT, they are transformed into vectors, just vectors. And the response, it says, well, have these vectors that you're sending me, and I have this dictionary of vectors, a lot of vectors that I used from all the data that was fed into ChatGPT or any large language model. So you write a sentence, that sentence is transformed to a vector, is compared to the series of vectors in that hyperspace that is behind ChatGPT or large language models, and then it predicts what is the most likely word that will follow the prompt of the query of this user. So let's say that you're asking something like, how is the weather like in New York? Let's say, okay, what's the weather like in New York? That's a vector. Okay. It puts it in the whole vector space and says, okay, which word is the closest one to this vector? It gives you back that word. That's the reason why ChatGPT predicts word by word. So predicts one word and says, okay, now, and you'll say maybe the first word will be the. Maybe the whole sentence will be the weather in New York is cold. The first word is the. So it says, okay, how's the weather like in New York? Plus the first word of the prediction, the. And then you have a new vector. And then it starts making predictions. So there's nothing but math. Okay, nothing but math. So when we look at generative AI, what the artificial intelligence model is doing is generating, is creating information. How does that create information based on the data that we feed to it? Now that poses some challenges, okay, that we'll talk about in a second, but that is Gen AI. Gen AI is when there's an artificial intelligence that creates something that we have not seen before, something quote unquote new. Now, we need to be very careful on uh, how we define that newness, right? Because in reality, because it's all algebra and vectors and or calculus and probability, this artificial intelligence is really not conscious or aware or has even an idea of what is providing to you, even though it feels like it. When you have a conversation with ChatGPT or Gemini, you may think, okay, they are reasoning. Well, around there's no reasoning. It's algebra and vectors and calculus and probability. So it's pure math, no consciousness, no awareness. And that's the reason why we need to be very careful. Because when we look at Gen AI, so well, how do we know that the information we're feeding to the algorithm is unbiased, right? Because it learns, right, from data. It's like a kid, like a toddler. The toddler will learn from you what you teach the toddler. The toddler does not have the awareness and consciousness to tell right from wrong. The same happens with an algorithm. It's like a toddler. An algorithm does not know the difference between right and wrong. So where are these conversations going? Well, nowadays we see that they are in worldwide. There are major initiatives, and this is why this is relevant to you, because what you are going to start learning with Gen AI, how to apply it. Now, the conversations worldwide around ethics and trustworthiness and safety. We cannot ignore that anymore. If we start thinking about the influence that artificial intelligence have to everyone's lives, it's getting bigger, getting bigger and bigger. There have been cases, for example, where there have been biased algorithms, for example, in the US, where there was an algorithm that was used by US hospitals that was found that was systematically underestimating the healthcare needs of Black patients. Okay? And that was leading, of course, to disparity in treatment and resource allocation. That's big. And it was not made on purpose. It was just based on the data that was fed to the algorithm. Amazon, for example, by the way, I provide the links for all these, for everything that I'm talking about, is Amazon, for example, was using a recruitment tool powered by AI. And that had a gender bias. So it was favoring men over women based on their training data, based on how the algorithm was designed. Of course, they had to scrape it all and start from scratch. There's also algorithms that have a racial bias based on facial recognition. They are algorithms that were discriminating in loan approvals. So there were AI-powered approval systems that were unfairly discriminating against some minority groups. That's affecting people's lives. So you will be creating products, right? Or you will be at least figuring out how to automate stuff with AI. So at least you need to be aware. Now, what are things that have been on? This is what I'm going to share. So now there have been tons of references and conversations around the world about what's next. Okay? The European Union, has just launched like 2 weeks ago, the Artificial Intelligence Act. Right now, they're not telling anyone how it's going to be enforced yet. But now you see that there's an initiative at the highest level in governments explaining that AI may pose a threat, especially now in the advent of generative AI. So the AI Act is one of them. Then last year, Biden issued this executive order on safe, secure, and trustworthy development of artificial intelligence that emphasizes precisely on public trust, safety, security, and non-discrimination of the algorithms. Pretty much, it starts encouraging federal agencies to develop policies and guidelines for AI development and deployment. I have been actively working with the Department of Defense, for example, to create ethical AI audit toolkits that can help assess, if tools in the Department of Defense are being developed and the outcomes are ethical, okay, and trustworthy and transparent. You see that, for example, the UNESCO, they have recommendation of ethics. It was developed like in 2021, if I'm not mistaken. Then you see that OECD, they have these principles on artificial intelligence and ethical development. There's the G7 Hiroshima AI process, which is very interesting because here, and by the way, these took place this year. Again, we're not talking about things that happened like 12 years ago. I'm talking about things that are happening right now. And then I'll talk about things that will happen in the future. In the G7 Hiroshima AI process, this is pretty much an effort with G7 countries to develop international technical standards, some sort of interoperability governance tools for trustworthy AI to promote innovation, but also address risks. But again, so all this is like super new. This is really brand new. And there you have, in the Council of Europe, they're working on AI, human rights, democracy, and the rule of law. Pretty much, they are developing legal and policy frameworks to ensure AI, human rights, to ensure human rights and democratic values. And you have tons of other examples. And this is where I'm heading with these: is that through the right knowledge, you will not only start developing the right AI tools based on generative AI, but you will also be aware of what will be the regulations and what are some of these practices that should be met. Okay? So that's the reason why right now it's so important to focus on the ethical aspect of AI. I'm pretty much sure that you've seen this one here. Oh, by the way, of course, that's not only the US. So China has also been having their own plans how to measure and manage Gen AI intelligence services, how to deal with deepfakes, for example, deep synthesis. And I'm pretty sure you've seen deepfakes. Deepfake Donald. I'm pretty sure you've seen these images of Donald Trump, being run away from the police or being arrested. You may already start figuring out how Gen AI can be actually harmful. Okay? So that's quite important. Now, there are benefits when we learn about generative AI, when you know how to do it in alignment with ethics. One is there is more innovation because now people are in alignment. People are aligned to the best practices they need to comply with it. The other one is when it comes to decision making, people are more aware of what are things they have to decide. Okay. When it comes to your customers, whether internal or external, they will trust AI systems more. And listen, I have a funny story about these. I was having a conversation with my mom, right? Like a few months back, because we're planning my sister's wedding. And she was a little bit concerned about, how much drinks to plan for and how much food, and asked for the catering services, make sure the catering services were not overcharging her. And she was trying to come up with some menus. So I asked her, so why didn't you ask ChatGPT? And she was like, okay, so wait a second, what? So, well, if you provide a context, then you should be able to ask ChatGPT about, the menu and how many people. So she started interacting with ChatGPT, and she was amazed. And she even told me, ChatGPT is so polite, because she was telling me about my mom, of course, my sister's weddings. But then she asked a question. She said, "How do I know if what ChatGPT is telling me is true or not?" Because then, of course, she started interacting more and more and more with ChatGPT, starting asking things about, for example, health stuff or diet and nutrition. And then she asked me, "How do I know if I can trust this AI or not?" Because I may so much change my daily routine and my food intake and maybe even some of my treatments. So how do I know? And my answer was, well, you don't. You really don't. You need to validate your sources. You need to explore other options, because we really don't know today how trustworthy ChatGPT is. However, you can incorporate some level of trustworthiness in the systems that you develop, as long as you vet the sources. The reason why we don't know about ChatGPT is because we really don't know what exact sources were used to train ChatGPT. We don't know it. But in your own systems, if your sources are trustworthy, then you can have some reliance that the model will produce some trustworthy outputs. Then, I was having a conversation with one of my colleagues, and she was also telling me, my mom has been hearing me, having these conversations. She was asking, how does it work? How can these tools understand you? Who are you talking with? There was this sense of between skepticism and a little bit of fear about what AI tools can do. They're like, I'm confused. How is it possible you can have a conversation with ChatGPT pretty much with an AI? I can reply back to you as if it was a person. So who's the person behind it? Where is that voice coming from? So there was this sense of a little bit of fear, right? And skepticism. So then the question is, how can you ensure that your users are trusting your AI systems? How you can ensure that your systems are not biased, that they're transparent, that you understand the outputs they produce? Because of course you don't want to go to the doctor and the doctor telling you, "Hey, listen, sir, you need surgery." And you ask why, and the doctor says, "Well, because the AI model told me so." You want to know why it's producing the outputs, and that's part of the reasons why this is so much more important, and part of the topics we'll cover throughout this program. Okay. This is pretty much a quick summary of what is Gen AI, what is so important to have some ethics on Gen AI, and the benefits of ethical Gen AI techniques. Now, I will pass it over to Raja, and then after that, we will take a deeper dive, a little bit deeper dive on what are some techniques, what are some examples of Gen AI, what are some examples of tools, and what are some examples of frameworks that now are leading the way, and what's going to happen in the future. Okay. So, Raja, I'll pass it over to you to go over a little bit of Gen AI in 2024's economy. And I look forward to passing you.
Sure. Thank you so much, Armando.
Mike again.
Thank you so much for kicking off the topic with so many good examples. Let me share back my screen. And we have started getting some really good questions there. We'll address them, whenever the speaker gets time or towards the end. But yeah, moving on towards the next slide here, talking about what's going on in the generative AI industry in 2024's economy here. So there is a global demand for AI talent. The businesses worldwide are increasingly seeking experts in generative AI for innovation and competitive advantage here. There's an expanding AI market here as well, which is rapidly growing and expected to reach $667.9 billion by 2030, reflecting with a CAGR of 27.7%. Again, these are just sources from Fortune Business Insights and Statista. And we have seen an investment surge as well. The global AI funding has hit 93.5 billion in 2021 and is significantly rising from the previous years as well. Awesome. I think Armando has also shared, these articles and the links which he was talking about on the chat as well. We can take a note of that as well. Before we move on towards the introduction of the program by Purdue University, we can see the curiosity, from the questions you have been sending to us, and the exchange in the chat as well. So before we move on, we would love to know what is stopping you from becoming a generative AI expert here. So let me launch this poll. Also, just to let you know, this one is a multiple choice poll because there can be multiple concerns. So you can select multiple options as well as your concern. So I've just launched the poll for folks on Zoom. And let me also just read out these options for you as well. So the first option here is I can't find a program with a fully comprehensive curriculum. And the second one, I don't have the practical exposure I need to become job ready. And the third one, I find it difficult to learn from pre-recorded videos. And the fourth one, my work schedule won't allow me enough time for learning. I think the last option makes sense a lot of you because most of you are working professionals and have a lot of experience from the experience poll we did earlier. So I think that is definitely. Again, folks, if this does not, justify your concern, the Q&A box is open for you. You can put down your questions there. Uh, and please do check out the links which Armando has already shared for your reference. You can check them out. And a lot of good questions on the webinar chat as well. The thing is, folks, we are actually going to miss your questions here because we have a very high attendance and chat volume, and we would really request you to move those questions in the Q&A box so we don't miss them. So please do that quickly. It's a really good time. And any questions are welcome there. Awesome. I see most of you have responded to this poll, but let's give it like 5 more seconds. Okay, I see a few of you are still responding. So let me just give 10 more seconds for the poll. So what is stopping you from becoming a generative AI expert? Awesome. I think, a lot of you have already responded. So let's quickly close this poll in the next 5 seconds. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me quickly end the poll and share the results with you folks and our expert Armando here. Let's see what are your concerns. So 46% of you have given votes for I don't have the practical exposure I need to become job ready. And 35% of you have given votes for I can't find a program with a fully comprehensive curriculum. 19% of you have given votes for I find it difficult to learn from pre-recorded videos. And 43% of you have given votes my work schedule won't allow me enough time for learning. I think that makes sense, as I mentioned earlier, right? A lot of you are working professionals who have joined us. Now, quickly moving on towards the program introduction here. Introducing you to the Purdue University Online Generative AI for Business Transformation program. The program duration for this one is 16 weeks, and you can complete it approximately in 4 months. And by giving 5 to 10 hours of your time per week, and this is in collaboration with AWS. I know the questions which will arise from this, so we do not provide an AWS certificate, just to clear that off immediately, but this is in collaboration and supported by AWS. The certificate will be a joint collaboration between Purdue University and Simplilearn. I'll be showing you that in the following up slides. But yeah, just to quickly talk more about the program, it comes with a comprehensive curriculum with an industrial and learning path. You'll be getting to learn about applications of generative AI in various business functions, how you can utilize them. We'll be talking deep diving into the curriculum as well. And the format of the classroom is live virtual classrooms. I think one of the concerns, right? You are not interested in just learning from pre-recorded videos. You want to actually interact with your peers and instructor, and we actually provide you through this program. It's pretty hands-on. And moving on towards the next slide, talking about the Purdue advantage. I think before I even talk about the Purdue advantage, I would love to know, have you heard about the Purdue University? It is a 150-year-old university. I'm pretty sure all of you have heard it. Yes or no on the chat? Quick yes or no. Yeah, and also Purdue University has been established by a land grant from the state of Indiana. It has evolved into a very prestigious institution, and it is renowned for its innovation, research, and education. Okay. And also it consistently ranks in one of the top public US universities and has produced Nobel Prize winners. We'll be talking more about how the Purdue University will be adding advantage to your CV and giving you that recognition worldwide. So we'll be talking more about that. Thank you for your responses in the chat here. And yeah, talking about the eligibility and the prerequisites of the program. So quick and easy. So you need to just have eagerness to learn, leverage generative AI to solve real business problems here. And fluency in written and spoken English is required. You need to have a minimum of 5 years of work experience to take up the program. It is a compulsion here. And moving on towards the per university generative AI for business transformation program, talking about how this program exactly prepares you. Starting with what are the skills covered in the program, I wonder.
Thank you very much, Rasha. Okay, so first off, I would like to follow up with some of the comments here about AI trustworthiness, and then we'll go to some of the skills we'll cover. So first, you are right. Some of you are saying, well, maybe Gen Z and millennials are better asking questions. Well, indeed they are, because they are already immersed in all these technologies. Then also to trustworthiness, some patients are more honest with like AI doctors, for example, alcohol consumption. Yes, because we tend to think that no one will judge us, right? Or we'll have some preconceived notion of what you're behaving. And then another question was RAG. So someone mentioned RAG. RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. I'll explain a little bit what it is. RAG, imagine that you have your large language model, which is learns syntax, learns how to respond, okay, based on a bunch of data. So it learns the right order of words, the right percentage of verbs and stuff. But it's very expensive to train a machine learning model. Just to give you an example, there's an open source model called Bloom, and these open source models, I'll share the link. Bloom Hugging Face. Okay, so there's this open source model, Bloom, that was trained through 95,000 iterations, like going back and forth, an entire neural network that has billions of connections. So imagine in a neural network, you have layers, and every layer has units or cells or neurons, and all of them are connected. Okay, and you have multiple layers, and if you have multiple, you have tons of connections. So imagine that you have around 176 billion connections, and that's a small large language model. It took 1 million compute hours to train in the supercluster that was funded by the government of France. This is a small one. Okay? Then you have ChatGPT 4 that doesn't have 170 billion connections, but more like 1.7 trillion connections. So retrain it with new data is not feasible. So what you do instead is you have a different database with all the relevant information, trustworthy information that you store. Then when you ask a question, then that question looks for all the different articles or records or documents that are similar or relevant to the question. It attaches them to the question, and then it goes to large language model. So that's how it works. And yes, it helps build some credibility. So you're also right. Okay, so going back, what are some of the skills that we learned? First, explainable AI. Explainable AI means I have a model. How can I explain what a model is doing? A lot of these are black boxes, but there's a lot of research to understand how we can understand what they produce. So that now it's not only about trusting that the model is telling you something, but now you will know where is that coming from. That's a very important skill. Another one is, prompt engineering, and I will just emphasize on those two mainly. Prompt engineering is, I was also having a conversation with one of my collaborators, and also I've been delivering like courses and webinars related to how to use ChatGPT, because I remember at the very beginning, I was having a conversation with the CEO of an organizational change management company, and she told me, well, I don't see a lot of relevance in ChatGPT. And by the way, this was like 2 years ago. And she said, because it's like Google. right? So you can ask like questions, and I don't see how that's relevant to my work. I've been trying it and asking some questions. I said, well, the quality of the answer will depend on the specificity of the question and the context. So the more context you provide, then the better the answer will be. So, and I asked her, so tell me one of your problems that you're facing today that are, consuming most of your brain power. And she said, one of my customers was acquired by a larger organization. I need to touch base with the CEO of the larger organization to make sure that we can continue the collaboration. I don't know where to start. I don't know how to drop the email. I don't know what, really don't know how to approach the situation. I said, well, ask ChatGPT. Exactly what you told me. The profile of this individual, the service you provide, and your portfolio, and your cost, and any additional context. Then she comes back to me like 2 hours after that. This Amanda, this is amazing. This is super mind blowing. If once I changed the way I phrased the question, the answer was way better. But now there are advanced techniques like chain of thought and other different techniques to do prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is how you're going to be designing the input to the large language model or the input to the Gen AI model. It's learning how to ask. If you want to something to have a very clear idea of what is the expected outcomes format and tone that you need your answer back. It's all matter of vision, so that it helps us organize ourselves. So there's some skills that are required for you to do good prompt engineering. You have good vision. You need to really understand the problem. You need to understand how to phrase it, how to communicate it. And that's what you will cover in prompt engineering. Then, of course, you will figure out, what a conversational AIs. Also, we'll talk about risk management, risk challenges, opportunities, what's being in terms of product research and development, data modeling. So pretty much these are some of the skills that will be covered, including code generation, including in specific segments like marketing and human resources and development and so forth. And next slide, please, Roger. Now, who is this? Who is this for? Okay, so first, this knowledge. I don't want to talk about this program specifically, okay? And Roger will kill me because, of course, the idea here is that we all start acquiring the knowledge, okay? Regardless of your role, regardless of how many years of experience, the goal is that as humanity, we can start shaping the direction of where we want AI to go. And we'll do that based on our own implementations, based on how we use it, based on how we create solutions. Okay? Now, this is not for technical people. Of course, this can be the segue to become more technical, but in reality, all these knowledge must be accessible for pretty much everyone in the business. Whether someone is the functional head or functional lead responsible to optimizing processes. Gen AI can enhance operational efficiency made by automating routines. By the way, there is something like I want you to take a look. I'm posting a paper here about something called React. This is brand new as well. It's been around like 1 year only. Imagine a large language model in which you tell the large language model to do something. It understands it. It interacts with a system, like a database or a blog post or whatever. Then triggers an action, like cleaning a database or publishing a post. Then gets feedback, like if there were any errors or if you're not getting any likes. And then based on the feedback, the context, the AI will change or improve its actions and start iterating. Oh, imagine where this can take us. Okay, but it needs to be done with supervision and with understanding where we're heading, right? So also it's important, for business leaders to make better decisions about growth and innovation. Gen AI will actually offer tons of tools to be disruptive. to disrupt traditional business models, to create new revenue streams, to enhance customer experience. Consultants like myself, for example, we use it quite a lot because we enhance our ability to analyze data, to identify trends, to develop better strategies for C-suite executives. Gen AI can help them with more informed decisions and more creative decisions. Um, what else? To manage risks more effectively, to find out other different strategies, innovative strategies for technology leaders. Gen AI can be used to help them to innovate in IT systems, to enhance cybersecurity, to optimize infrastructure, to senior managers, to provide also tools to improve processes, enhance decision making, to support their teams, to create programs for path and growth and careers for their staff, for entrepreneurs. Of course, right now there is so much fertile soil today. There are so many things that you can do. I'm collaborating with a musician to create a virtual booker to find her venues for her to work. Also working with the farming industry. So the soil is so fertile right now. You're just at the right time. The more you understand the capabilities of Gen AI and all these tools like React, then you will start thinking about a bunch of different solutions. But then the question is, how do I go from idea to execution? And that's what some of these programs will give you, of course. Can we go to the next slide, please? I know we're almost out of time, so we'll speed up a little bit. We'll cover some of the tools like, for example, Gemini. Well, we're familiar with Gemini and ChatGPT, so I'll not get into that into detail. You have Stability Wizard will help you to create user interface, Sphinx for documentation, Julius to write articles, Code Whisper to write code using Gen AI, Writer to write blogs using Gen AI, InVideo to produce videos using Gen AI, Stable Diffusion to produce images using Gen AI, so you can produce interfaces, images, videos, blogs, code, using Gen AI, of course, with supervision, making sure that you understand what it's doing, right? So, next slide, please. And I will start wrapping this up. So I will let you know what you cover. Okay, so first, this knowledge is out there, okay? It's not you can actually source it for free from a bunch of papers and a lot of information out there. However, my recommendation is look for a program that has structured and up-to-date information. Because that's very much what you want, is to make sure that instead of investing like hundreds of hours looking which information is relevant, looking which information is credible, looking for which information is already embedded, that at least you have a program that can give you the stepping stone to start doing your own stuff, okay? Whether it's this program or any other, the goal here is that you acquire the knowledge, that you apply, that you start writing the way of Gen AI, and you understand it, and you can communicate it proficiently. So things that we'll be covering, of course, is what is Gen AI, prompt engineering, a little bit of the back end of ChatGPT, and then how Gen AI is affecting different industries, whether it's sales, marketing, customer service operations, product research and development, how to make workflow automation. And by the way, I just shared a paper, something like super top notch, which is React. There's not a lot of implementation about these, but this is the next thing happening in Gen AI. And then another important part is that the reason why Gen AI is becoming so important is because right now systems are retrieval based. You retrieve information from the internet. You retrieve information from an application. But Jensen Huang, who is the CEO of NVIDIA, said something very, very insightful a few weeks ago. And he said, artificial intelligence is going to, Gen AI, generative artificial intelligence, will shift the way we work in the near future. So instead of retrieving information, information will be generated in device. That will reduce dramatically the flow of information over the internet. more processing will happen in device based on hyper personalization. So that's the reason why, right now this is the part where you jump in. This is the part when you get immersed in all this knowledge, you do your research, you understand how Gen AI works, you use the tools, you experiment with them, then you create your own. So anything, I know that I steal most of Rita's time, so I'm sorry about that. So Rita, I will pass it over to you, and I will answer any questions you might have over the chat window.
Sorry, can you come again?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you, Raja, and now I can.
Can you come again, Armando?
Yes, yes. I'll pass it over to you now.
I can move on to the next slide.
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay. Thank you so much. Fine. I also would like to quickly introduce you to the global leaders we have as program advisors. Introducing you with Armando Galeana. I think you've already seen him. And by the way, a lot of appreciation on the chart for you already coming in. They want this to go on for another hour. They find it so interesting, by the way. And also Ankit Vermani here, who's a data and ML leader at Google. And Raghav Goyal, who was generative AI and data scientist consultant, having delivered more than 150 plus training sessions for corporates in India, Middle East, US, Southeast Asia. And we have Ricardo Calix here, who's the associate professor of computer IT and graphics at the Purdue Northwest. And he has a PhD in engineering science from Louisiana State University. And yeah, his research includes ML, biometrics, intrusion detector systems, and NLP. Again, like these global advisors make sure that Simplilearn is delivering as per standards of Purdue University when you take up this program. And moving on towards the learner outcomes here. So interestingly, the previous classes have consisted of learners coming from world-class organizations and diverse industries. Industries like IT, software product, manufacturing, pharma, healthcare, BFSI, and others. And interestingly, we actually have gotten a lot of questions from different industries as well. Folks coming from there and trying to transition here. We'll be touching about that. And also diverse world-class organizations like Netflix, PwC, Bosch, EY, Amazon, Nvidia, Infosys, LinkedIn, KPMG, just to name a few of them. Again, like we are not only restricted to these industries and companies, we're just giving an example, mostly where they come from. And the companies that are hiring for these roles, top companies being Netflix, Amazon, Microsoft, Accenture, Deloitte, Apple, Google, IBM, LinkedIn, KPMG, just to name a few of them. These are the top hiring companies in the market as of now. And just to quickly summarize, I think we've spoken a lot about the program and also about ethics and generative AI. We'll be touching upon a lot of these interesting questions in the Q&A pretty soon. But would like to quickly also, just summarize the key features of the program for you here. So you'll be getting a program completion certificate from Purdue University Online and Simplilearn. It'll be a tie-up between them. I think one question was about that as well. I hope that clears that. I'll show you the certificate after this slide. So you will understand how the certificate looks like. And also you'll be getting access to the Purdue's Alumni Association membership on program completion. Again, like that is a network you need to be a part of. Definitely worth it. And 50 plus hours of core curriculum delivered in live online classes by industry experts. You get to understand the implications of generative AI in shaping businesses strategies and the live online master classes as well as one of the electives in the curriculum which we had shared by Purdue faculty and staff. And you learn to apply generative AI across various business use cases. And also, you gain exposure to ChatGPT, Gemini, Code Whisperer, Stable Diffusion, and other prominent tools which Amanda has already covered through. And also AWS authored self-paced learning content curated for business leaders. So again, with this, I would like to quickly summarize this program by Purdue University. And with this, would love to know your interest in enrollment. Yeah, this is the certificate here. I think few questions about the certificate, right? So this is basically a combined certificate. This is from Purdue University. You can see the accreditations here, and it is delivered by Simplilearn. And you can see that accreditation here as well. and it will be certified to you here. Your name will be here, and this will be for the Generative AI for Business Transformation Purdue program. And you can see all the accreditations on the certificate here. And yeah, with this, we would love to know your interest in enrolling into the program. So now I'll be launching a poll. With this, I would love to know, are you interested in enrolling into the Purdue University Online Applied Generative AI for Business Transformation program here? And I'll be quickly launching the poll to capture your interest. You can respond by saying yes if you're interested. And I'm just launching this poll for folks on Zoom here. And after this, we'll be quickly going through the enrollment steps where I share the steps, the program fee, and also the details, links towards the program where you can go and download the syllabus, check out the finance options. In case you're not able to pay it immediately altogether, we do have finance partners, all over the world. You can check that out. And also there will be learning consultants from Simplilearn who will actually, onboard you and guide you as well and address any questions you have even after this webinar. So I'll help you with that as well. Quickly, I think a lot of you have already started sharing your interest towards this poll, which is launched right now. So yeah, let's quickly just give it like 10-15 seconds. Meanwhile, you're sharing your response. Let me also do one thing. Let me open the program page for you quickly, which I'll be sharing as well. So I'll just quickly go to Simplilearn. And we have so many other generative AI courses as well in case you want to check it out later. For folks who are still exploring, I'll share the link towards those programs as well. Right now, the poll is live. I'll basically keep it live till the next 10-15 seconds more because a lot of you are still responding to us. And yeah, going to the Generative AI program here. This is the program for Generative AI for Business Transformation we're talking about. Let me share the link on the chat. Oh, I see one message from Archie here. I've started some of the Simplilearn courses that are free, loving them, trying to persuade my boss to pay for this per year course. That is actually possible. You can ask your employer, for tuition reimbursement. So the learning consultants from Simplilearn can help you with that, if you need guidance, Archie. So, yeah. So if you share your interest towards this poll right now as yes, the learning consultants from Simplilearn will help you out. So yeah, this is the Purdue program here. And all the details which we have shared, you can go and download the syllabus here. You can check out, basically the upcoming cohort here. I'll share that with you as well. But yeah, you can see for all the details here of the program which we already shared. In case you want to go and quickly enroll yourself, you can also go and share your few basic details here and submit it. So yeah, you can see the Generative AI executive for by AWS. These are one of the electives, the skills covered, 11 plus tool covered. And you can see the program advisors here. You can see the admission process, the criteria here. See, we have these business partners here, financial partners here. This is for US. And basically, I'm showing it for US, but if I go and change the country to India, you will be seeing a lot of finance partners for India as well. I'll just quickly go there. Yeah, see the finance partners has changed on the fee as well. So I understand that you folks have joined us globally from different countries. For that, I'll share the scan code of the program in the next following slide. But yeah, last 5 seconds for the poll here. Awesome. So last 5 seconds for the poll here. So are you interested in enrolling into the Purdue City Applied AI, Generative AI for Business Transformation program? You can share your interest as yes on the poll which is launched right now. A lot of you have already done that. So last 5 seconds, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much, folks. Thank you for sharing your interest. Now quickly taking you through the enrollment steps here. A lot of you folks who are, still exploring, for you, I'll be sharing the link towards all the categories of programs we have in EI. You can explore them as well. If you're looking for free courses, we have Skill Up as well. So enrollment steps, 3 simple, easy steps to follow. First step is you'll have to submit an application to us and ask us at simplilearn.net. Step 2 will be your application will go for review based on the eligibility and prerequisites I've shared earlier. Step 3 will be based on the first initial 2 steps completed. We will be sending you the admissions offer. So the learning consultants will be taking you through these 3 simple, easy steps. I'm just giving you an overview of what's going to happen next. Any questions even after this webinar, you can reach out to us at askus@simplilearn.net. I'll share that email ID in the chat here as well. So please don't worry about that. And also talking about the next immediate cohort, which is almost filled, by the way. So we do have limited seats per cohort. So if you're planning to join basically the next immediate cohort, the introductory class for this one is starting on 20th of August. and the classes will start on 27th of August. Again, there are other batches as well, but we do have limited seats. To if you're planning to join within like next month, you can go and check out the cohorts. You can let the Simplilearn learning consultant know that which cohort will be the most suitable for you based on the commitments you have. And sharing the fee here, I think a lot of questions about that. So for US candidates, the fee here is $2,995 US. And for Indian candidates, the fee here is 120,000 INR rupees, including GST. I'm aware that you folks have joined from different countries. I'll share the scan code as well on the next slide. You can scan it for your own region, check out details, fees, upcoming cohort, and also the finance partners if you're looking for one. Yeah, quickly moving on to the Q&A. I think Armando folks have been eagerly waiting for this one. We do have extended the session for a few minutes, if that's okay for you, just to address them. Yeah, Armando.
Look, I'm trying to answer as many questions as possible.
Sure.
So I think we're good. I answered most of them, and the ones that answer well, I'll be repetitive over the ones. But people are pretty much asking, how can I make money out of it? How can I make the most out of it? Are there any open source tools? Yes, there are open source tools. You can make a lot of money with AI, but you need to be constant, patient, and really dive. Get the right knowledge, the right training, look for the right information, and then go do it. Is it possible to do money in the short term? Yes, it is possible. But again, you need dedication. I need to make sure that you really understand what you're doing, you really understand the problem, and of course, then leverage on the tools that exist. Yes, there are a lot of already open source tools and free tools. Google Cloud Platform through Vertex AI, they offer a free tier. Plus, web service they offer free tier. So just go there and start diving into it. Okay. Thank you, Raja. That's it. Again, thank you very much for attending. Looking forward to seeing you, and thank you also for connecting from LinkedIn. I receive a lot of connection requests, so thank you for that as well.
Sure. If you want, you can share your LinkedIn profile as well, Armando. Because a lot of folks, when they get these certificates, when they attend, they also share insights. They also would love to tag this expert as well. So they're already doing that. So if you want, you can share your profile as well if they want to stay connected to you. And yeah, thank you so much, Armando. Folks, please quickly go and check out the Q&A box. Armando has managed to address a lot of questions already. And please do let us know if you have any follow-up questions. You can drop us an email on at askus@simplilearn.net. I'm sharing that email ID on the chat here, which you can see on the screen as well. Make a note of it. Drop us an email there. Any questions you have about the program or any questions you have, even about exploring about other programs as well, not only this one. And yeah, we can see that Armando has also shared his LinkedIn profile. Connect with him as well, for his updates. Armando, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for keeping the audience, engaged. I think when I asked them, can we wait extended for 5-10 minutes more? They said, we can just go on for another hour. It is so interesting. I got those comments on the chat here. So I think they really enjoyed the session. Folks, do let us know on the chat here as well. How was the session for you? And thank you so much. Thank you for taking us through a very interesting session and covering the per university program as well for the folks here and addressing their questions. Thank you so much. Armando, would you like to say something to the folks before we move on towards closing the session?
Oh, no. Just to go and dive with it and just have fun with it. That's it.
Sure.
Thank you, Raja.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Armando. I'll just take 2 minutes with them for the certificate pool. If you want, you can leave. If you want, you can stay as well. So folks, thank you so much for the appreciation on the chat here. Before now I move on towards the webinar certificate poll, I will need your full name there. But before that, we would also love to know how was the session for you. I can see from the chat that a lot of appreciation coming there as well. But we would also love to know if you can rate the session out of 5. How satisfied are you with the content of the session? I'm launching this poll quickly. 5 being the highest. If you had a really good time, you learned something new about ethics and generative AI, and if you had any questions, if you got your question answered, you can rate us 5 there as well. And even after this webinar, there will be a post-webinar survey with just one question. So asking you what can we do to make our webinars better? And I actually personally look into these suggestions you give and we come up with these interesting topics there. So thank you. Like keep sharing your feedback even after the webinar. And yeah, thank you so much for a lot of messages on the chat here. Uh, I see one message. Thank you so much for this session, Armando Rasha and Simplilearn. I'm hoping to attend more webinars like this. Oh, for that, I have this link to share. So we have a lineup of all these, upcoming amazing webinars. We are covering so many interesting topics in all categories. So if you want to join, you can go and subscribe using this link here. You will see a lineup of all the upcoming webinars in the next 1 month or so. And this keeps getting updated every month. Sure. I think, thank you so much for the poll here. I'll be closing this poll in the next 5 seconds. So, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me quickly end the poll. Thank you so much. Thank you. A lot of positive response there as well. Now, moving on to the webinar certificate poll for a lot of you folks have been waiting for. On the chat, it will not be, considered. So I've just launched this poll now. All you need to do is enter your full name. So this is the certificate of participation you're seeing on the screen. And
All right, yeah, I think that you froze. You're frozen.